Last Tuesday's game was pretty forgettable for the Bills, but for the NFL it was somewhat historic. The first Tuesday night football game in 10 years. Of course, 10 years ago it was the weather that called the shots. A look back in this week's Heather's Weather Wise. Sunday, December 26, 2010. The tail end of the NFL season with the Eagles set to take on the Vikings in Philadelphia. But this was just the beginning of the meaty part of the winter season, and a powerful winter storm was already gaining strength in the Gulf of Mexico and getting ready to speed north. Now, of course, this wasn't a winter system while it was sitting this far to the south, but it did scoop up plenty of juicy moisture right out of the Gulf of Mexico. Ingredient number one for a major snowstorm. Next, of course, is cold air, and plenty of that was pouring into the central part of the country and starting to nudge to the east. All that was needed was something to connect the two, and that was an area of low pressure that had already formed over the mid-Atlantic. Once all of those factors came together, it was bombs away. The storm eventually strengthened to the point of a Category 3 hurricane, at least if you look at the central pressure of the storm. But the wind was no joke either. Gusts reached 50 to 70 miles per hour from Boston to D.C. It was the threat of wind combined with potentially crippling snowfall rates for the region that made Philadelphia's mayor declare a snow emergency and postpone that afternoon's football game. And that's the key to remember here, Western New Yorkers, for the region. Our plow systems may be set up to handle 2 to 3 inches of snow per hour, but I grew up in the Philadelphia area, and let's say they're not, because more often than not, they really don't have to be. But even we would have struggled with some of the numbers they saw. The official total at the Philadelphia airport was 12.2 inches. Now that's a pretty good storm for them, considering their record snowfall is 31 inches. But between 2 and 3 feet of snow fell across New Jersey between Sunday and Monday the 27th. Similar totals around New York City and Long Island. That swath stretched all the way up through New England, too. And of course, the decision to postpone the game even a couple of days came with a bit of controversy. There were plenty of people in the area, including then Governor Ed Rendell, who wanted to see a good old-fashioned football fight in some bad weather. But it turns out the Eagles really didn't even need to play their game, because while they sat at home waiting for their game 2 days later, Green Bay was running all over the Giants, allowing the Eagles to clinch a division title. Turns out that was a good thing, because on Tuesday night, the Eagles would end up losing to the Vikings 24-14. Kind of an anticlimactic ending, but that's it for this week's Heather's Weather Wise. I'll see you next week with a new topic, but until then, remember, it's good to be a geek.